What's poppin', gamers? Today we got a bit of a spicy one on our hands. Definitely not the normal content of opening things up, and hopefully we don't get completely shafted on polls. However, today we actually have a video talking basically about how to repair Pokemon cards. This video was requested a lot under very high demand, primarily because of one card that I got graded, that being this Latias, which this Latias actually came back a 10 from PSA, and this is after I did a repair on it because the card had a massive dent on the bottom edge. As you can tell by the pictures, it was a miraculous repair. To be able to actually get this thing to a 10 level was super surprising, but at the same time felt really rewarding. And a lot of people are obviously skeptical of if it was real or anything. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna go through that process of showing you exactly how I did it. The dent was pretty rough. However, you literally cannot almost see any ounce. Like, I'm sure if I sent this to Beckett, they'd probably like really get that thing down and dirty and get on it and be able to find the remnants of the dent, because there is very slight remnants. It's practically non-existent though, and that's why PSA gives it the 10, because PSA is more so based on like perfect corners, perfect surface, no like scratches, no print lines. And then it's like when it comes to the edges, if it's like noticeable from like holding it at an arm's length, from my knowledge, at least from what I've seen online and interviews, they care very much from, is it noticeable when you're holding it, not is it noticeable from when you're like fully inspecting it, which is why most white corners automatically knock it down an entire grade. Also, print lines will knock it down a grade. But enough about this card specifically from PSA. Today, actually, we're going to be talking about a card that I got graded through Tag, which I've already showcased on a short and or reel. However, today though, we are talking about this Charizard EX. Now, I had graded via Tag because Tag right here has a little QR code that you're able to scan, and essentially it'll show the breakdown of your entire card of all the imperfections throughout the entirety of it. And this card specifically got graded at an 8.5 near mint plus, which, to be honest, this graded a little bit higher than I thought it would have. And now to the naked eye, I mean, yeah, this card looks really good, especially in the slab. I want to mind you that. Looks really good. However, if you really examine the card, get down and dirty on it, there is actually a massive dent, which, see if I can find the right angle here. Get the camera to focus with the light. You know what? We're just busting out the magnifying glass. That'd be way easier. If you look right there, bam, look at that dent. Oh my gosh. This thing automatically knocked it way down. And now this is a perfect card to make an example out of, which if you scan that QR code and it takes you to the website, it'll basically do an analysis, a full breakdown on the card itself, showcasing every little detail about it. And essentially this card has nearly perfect centering, nearly perfect edges. The only real ding that it has is essentially just that one little ding on the top. And so for the goal today here, we are going to be repairing this bad boy. We are going to be going through it with it to essentially try to get that dent out of the front of the top completely gone, make it unnoticeable, and send it back into Tag specifically, because Tag also apparently has some sort of system in which if you resend in the same card, it'll automatically detect it within their AI that it is already a card within their system. How they do that, I'm assuming, is by detecting the same imperfections that are on the card. Whereas this card, the goal here is to show 0 imperfections and to basically make them think that it is a completely new Charizard by repairing it. Now it is time to crack this bad boy open, which we got some assorted tools in front of us to essentially do that. Usually, typically, traditionally, not very hard to open PSA slabs. All you do really is grab like some like sort of crimping tool or like needle nose pliers. You're able to just up off the corner, just basically chop it off. Then you can stick a screwdriver in there and basically just pop it open. It separates into 2 pieces, easy peasy. These are a little bit different. There was a lot of trending stuff going around about Tag that you're able to quite literally just open it with your hands by like wiggling it, and it just doesn't work anymore. They took that criticism pretty quickly and essentially turned around a different slab. They basically have different weld points now all over this thing that make it way harder now to be able to crack these open. The bigger issue with opening these is for them to maintain that like kind of sleek minimalistic look that they have. These things are like super fragile plexiglass. And so if when I crack off this corner, because I did test drive this, I wasn't going to just raw dog the Charizard. I tried opening up a different tag card. But when you try chopping off the corner, very likely it'll just split the entire thing. Then you got to kind of finesse it out, and it's really difficult. This is going to be stressful. So cue the dramatic music, the occasional punch in, and the, I don't know, SpongeBob meme. First things first, though, of course, safety first. So we're going to put this thing in a bag, put some glasses on. Don't want any shrapnel bouncing around, hitting me in the face. And yeah, let's go.
Oh no.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Okay, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, this back part is what they etch the like logo and the stuff onto. So then it's like sealed on the inside, but you can basically feel it. There's like a textured thing going on right here. But this is the problem now. I'm left with a slab where the front is basically chopped off, and yeah, I can't quite just pluck it out. And if I bend this straight back and snap it, then obviously it's going to just fold the card forward, and it's just going to mess it up even worse. So I developed this other strategy here. It's a little jank and it's a little risky, and this might be the worst case scenario for it, to be honest. This is so stressful. Essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to weasel a sleeve into the front side so that then it's like fully protected on the front essentially, and I don't have to really worry about it getting scraped. There we go. Now we have a sleeve on the front side of it. Now let's grab another sleeve, kind of lift it up and put it onto the back side of it. I'm trying to maximize protection on the card as much as possible. Like I said, I test drove this with a different card. It did kind of work. There is a little bit of problem with there's some like resistance here and there. Obviously got to try to finesse it and be quite gentle with her. And then I'm going to take a third sleeve. I know, grab another one. And then essentially I'm going to just try to scoop up the card in between the two sleeves. And then now that basically I've slipped the card into the sleeve, now essentially I can be able to pick it up. Ooh, very carefully here. And the reason why this sleeve on the front is to prevent this cut part from basically scraping on the card. I do not ever recommend anyone doing this. Want to clarify that here. Open up your own things at your own discretion. Then now essentially let's just try to slip this card very gently out. Ooh, I don't want to apply too much pressure. Trying to make a video on how to repair a card, not ruin a card. There we go. Now we've saved the card successfully from the slab. Oh my god, that was stressful. But now we are officially ready for the next phase, which is the repairing aspect of just this tiny little ding. Definitely no other damage, I hope. And now for the next step of getting the dent out of this Charizard is through this process essentially called moisture treatment, which sounds very scary. But when you really think about it, this card in reality is just cardboard. It's paper and it's shiny cardboard, and I really like it. I don't care what anyone says. And the way that we're going to moisture treatment is with this box. And so this box is called a humidor. Essentially, for those who are in the other hobby, this is a box in which you put your cigars in, keep them nice and moist. It's basically a box that has a humidity gauge on it in which you basically just put your stuff in it. It stays very humid, keeps it very moist. So that way the card isn't directly affected by moisture. It's indirectly affected by moisture, by just humidity, which then the card sucks up that humidity and kind of reshapes itself. So this method actually can also get dents out of cards, as well as kind of like fix some corners and stuff. Obviously whitening, there is very rare scenarios that you could ever get whitening out of a card, because more often than not, it's kind of just a bad cut. And when that happens, there's just actually a chunk of the card missing. Can't really do nothing about that. And with this humidor specifically, it comes with this tiny little device that essentially when you add just water droplets to it, it'll produce humidity inside the box. And then after waiting some time for the box to basically hit the ideal humidity, which is about 70-ish% humidity, then we're just going to pop our raw card in there, no sleeve, no nothing, and let that bad boy cook up for about 10 minutes, no longer, because if you leave your card in there for a little bit too long, then it'll actually crinkle up and get destroyed. So you have to be very careful when doing this process. Okay, and now it's been officially 10 minutes. The alarm just went off. So now we need to take this bad boy out of the humidor. Here, and I'll place down a microfiber towel thing. Basically just need to pop this bad boy open and then grab the card very carefully because you don't want to obviously cause more damage now that it's like in a very vulnerable, sensitive state with how it's, you know, moisturized. So I like to try to pick it up with like a sleeve so that then I don't have to like try to pinch the edges and everything. Much easier this way. Then now the card has like this kind of natural bend to it because of being exposed to the humidity, but that's fine because that'll also come out of it anyways. Now what we want to do though is pop it into a fresh sleeve. And we'll place that down like so. Then I want to grab another sleeve to basically place on top of it. That'll kind of create a little bit of a barrier for the area that we're going to be working on. Here, and we'll zoom right on in on this bad boy for you guys. So basically, this is just like a pen with a microphone filter. Not the most ideal tool, I'll be completely honest. There are actual dedicated tools for this. It's just you basically want something that's firm but also soft at the same time. Obviously the fluff and stuff doesn't really add anything to it. It's just the fact that it's like there's foam underneath it, but there's also like plastic underneath the foam, kind of keeping it firm. Then my goal here though is to basically just try to work that corner back down, or rather the edge back down, by just kind of rubbing it outwards, pushing that material back out in the right direction because it was dented inward. So we're trying to work it back out. And again, the whole point of this is that it's just full of moisture and the cardboard itself is just basically rejuiced and able to be reshaped. Now that we're done giving that card a massage, now we got ourselves like two basically plexiglass clear, it's literally just sheets of plexiglass. And there's nothing really that special about it other than the fact that they're big and they're clear. They do look a little bit funky because, well, I've been using them and touching them a lot. Okay. Basically just want to wipe it completely off, ensure that there is no like crumbs or debris that's on it, because if there's any sort of like crumbs or debris that's on top of it, then obviously that's just going to imprint onto the card because we will be clamping these things completely together. And now all we need to do is just place down our card onto one plexiglass, then flip it over, place it down on this one. Now the card is essentially perfectly sandwiched in between. You still can see the imperfection on the card a little bit, like it's still there, but then once we do this clamp method, it'll like fully kind of smush it in. Then all we do is basically grab like C-clamps, grab it, put it directly on the problem spot. And now you can kind of already see that that spot is already getting reformed back into the card. And while I'm at it, I'm going to also just like clamp down on the corners and stuff, just in case that there was like raised corners. Obviously that factors into grading as well. We'll see how it goes. But essentially though, after you get your clamps onto the plexiglass, then you just leave it like this, at least overnight or something like that. Then you're Gucci in the morning. And so this is basically the final step until we have to actually mail the card off. So we'll check back when we actually get the card back and when it's actually graded, and we're going to see what grade we get now. Will this go up in a grade? Will this go beyond the 8.5 that they gave us? And will they even be able to tell if this is even the same card to begin with? Now we're officially back with our graded tag slab. So now we're going to see if we did any sort of improvement to the card. Maybe we did more damage. Did we get a bump in grade is the biggest thing. Is did we get an actual payoff of actually sending it in and get a bump in the grade? Because obviously an 8.5, not ideal. A 9 could be pretty solid sometimes. Definitely take some 9s. They're not that bad. A 10, obviously the ultimate goal here. And now Tag sent it back in a single box. My guess is that like, because I had to do a rush order technically, because they have different brackets and tiers of cost for grade. And the lowest tier is basically you're sending in a bulk, like a large amount of cards. It's super cheap to get the card graded, but you might not get it back for like 2 months. Then they also have like some middle tiers. Like one will be like, oh, you'll get it back in like maybe 5 days, maybe a week or something like that, but it'll cost like $75 to grade it. Like that's originally my plan for this video. I was like, for the sake of the video, yeah, I'll get it graded and get a quick turnaround. No, unfortunately that was sold out somehow. Don't know how that works. And so I ended up doing the most expensive tier, which is technically a walkthrough, which means they grade the card in 2 whole days just to be able to get it back to me. I still obviously had to wait like maybe 6 day total of like shipping, with me shipping it to them and then me getting it back. So after heaping over a ton of money to be able to even get this graded for the sake of the video and getting it turned around quick enough, do we get a bump in the grade? Now we're gonna find out. And yes, Tag does rewrap all of their cards. I actually like, there's a lot of people that don't like this for the waste aspect. It does suck obviously for waste purposes. However, I love this concept because this is the last time that you get to open your card, and it'll be in a slab, which is pretty unique and cool. Now, so the plan for opening this up and not revealing the grade immediately, typically you'd like want to cut into the bottom, then you can be able to push it on out. Yep. And then there we go. We now have our beautiful Charizard. We still do have the dent in the top left, but it is significantly smaller, much more tolerable, and I think, in my opinion, deserving of a higher grade. Now, also, before I sent this back in, I noticed that they didn't really pick up on a few different things originally. Like, apparently there is like a micro black dot on the Pokeball. You could kind of see it right there, but otherwise, like, there's like a couple little specks that they didn't pick up on the first time around, but the second time around, we'll see. Did they pick up those things? And is this considered a new card? Because again, tag identifies cards and registers them. So then if you try to regrade the cards, then they technically would already have it in the system, and it'll basically, I don't know how they register it to where it's like they identify it as the same card. It's supposed to basically prevent duplicating and inflating the population of cards so that their pop reports will be as accurate as possible. However, let's see, we're going to find out if this even got a bump in the grade and if this is considered a new card in their system now. So tag, we had an 8.5 and now we got a mint 9. Okay, we did get a bump in the grade after a little bit of reparo. These slabs look insane, I'll be honest. These look so good. Can't get over that. And definitely learned my lesson on opening these, and don't plan on opening up another tag slab ever again. So this card will forever be in this tag slab. Could I do a little bit more repairing and possibly get a 10 out of it? Maybe, perhaps, perchance, maybe, but I'm just gonna leave it in the 9 in this tag slab. If anything, this also might end up on the PokeSpirit website, which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, I actually own my own online TCG store called PokeSpirit. I sell slabs, raw cards, sealed product. Definitely worth checking out. But as we can see here, we went from our 8.5 to a 9. And now the question is, again, did this count as a new card in their system? Were we able to trick the system into thinking that? So I'm going to scan the QR code that's on the card. And so now each card has its own certification number. And basically we need to see if that certification number is the same for the 8.5. Which for the 8.5, it is a different certification number. So I wonder if they're going to end up removing the previous one or not, or if they even catch on to that. Who knows? Maybe they see this video and then they know. However, if you guys want to check out the grade report for this 9, go ahead and check out the QR code right there. Should be able to scan it. Hopefully it's in focus enough and close enough. It also includes the score in the QR code right there, which is 928, which to be able to get a 10, I believe it has to be 990 to a 1000, I believe is what it has to be. They also do send sleeves as well for your slab, but this one's different. These are different sleeves than the other ones that they had sent previously. These are kind of like loose and funky. My guess is they probably ran out because they originally send like really nice, crispy, like thick sleeves. They're so nice. But for this one, they sent like a kind of a loose-ish one. Regardless though, Tag as a company, definitely enjoy grading with them. I enjoy the transparency of this. Also, graded a card completely different, got a bump in grade with the transparency aspect of it as well. We just basically reduced the damage of our dent that we knew was there because the tag system, I mean, we kind of knew it was there regardless because it was so big of a dent. But obviously, if that was another thing like a little ding or maybe some like raised edges or something like that, we would also know because of that tag system. No, I'm not being paid to promote them either. I just actually like their system, and I do hope that they actually gain a little bit more traction and become a little bit more popular personally. Regardless though, that's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed it, make sure you guys smash that like button. Comment down below if you guys are going to risk it and try to repair some cards. Like I said, do it at your own discretion. There is always a risk that you're going to ruin your card and make it way worse than it actually is. But this method has worked for me on a few different cards now. Usually it's on a card that like has a 9 and I'm pretty confident that it could be able to give you a 10. I'll do a repair on it. In this case, I did it for the example of the video, but it being an 8.5, I probably wouldn't normally do a repair and resend in. I just figured that this would be a great opportunity to kind of like showcase it, that even from an 8 to a 9 you could do, or even from a 9 to a 10. But again, that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. That's gonna be it for now.